Greetings, friends. Tonight I have a special stream for the day 23. I just realized in my title it says day 19 still, so let me fix that. Everywhere else I put day 23 except for in the title. So day 23 of Mermay, and today's prompt is Siren song. I have no idea what I'm doing for this one. I have no ideas whatsoever. So we'll see how this goes. Now, I live streamed a few days ago, 4 days ago I think it was. I guess on Tuesday. Excuse me. And the prompt for that was wrath. Ooh, wrath. Then we had a lovely time drawing this Ursula-inspired version of Ariel parting the seas, right? In anger, I guess. Now, day 21, futuristic, I did not live stream. However, I did record, and so you'll be seeing a video of my day 21 process, posting it either, I think Tuesday, either Monday or Tuesday, this coming Monday or Tuesday. So that will be a video. It's basically going to be a time lapse with me kind of talking over what I did during the process. So it's going to be a little bit different from watching these live streams, but you'll be able to see kind of a sped up version of what happens, going all the way from the ideation part and sketching to the completed drawing. So that's coming up soon. Stay tuned for that. If you are not subscribed to me and you want to be notified when that comes out, subscribe, set notifications, all that good stuff. That will be Monday or Tuesday, likely Tuesday. But today we're here with a live stream, and we're doing this Siren song prompt. And like I said, I have no ideas for it right now. So we'll just start with what I always do and write Siren song. I'm gonna do it in sentence case. I don't know what it's called when you do it this way, where it's like the first letter is capitalized and everything else is lowercase. Just sentence case? I don't know. But gonna write it like that, and maybe that will inspire my style for this drawing. So sirens are like, I think I'm gonna need to do a little bit of googling here. Siren song, and then what can we do with that? Let me bring my Google search. Well, it's not Google, actually. I use DuckDuckGo. But in this DuckDuckGo search here, sorry, I hit my microphone. My desk space is so crowded right now when I stream with my graphic tablet plugged in. So there's not really a lot of good stuff happening. There's not really anything to take inspiration from. Sirens are kind of like thought to be a little bit evil, so I guess something like this is what I was expecting to see. What is this song? Siren call. See, once you're mine, you'll always be. I never give anything for free. That's creepy. I don't like it. Some of these are just like perfume. Siren. I'm gonna look up like siren creature and see what we get for that. I don't mind that concept of it, like it's just like molding with the sea. I guess maybe we could do something where it's like Ariel, but she looks kind of decrepit and decayed, but or she has like pointy teeth or something, and pointy ears. So let's what's a good pose? Let's do like a head-on kind of thing. I'm already starting over. Let's do like a head-on. I'm gonna make her look like a model. She can have her one hip this way. We'll probably figure out something else to do with the tail, because I don't want it to just come down and be boring. This arm. Sorry guys, I have to keep clearing my throat. This arm. That hand like that. Maybe I should have her like looking off in this direction instead. Sorry, I'm getting a an error here on my video. So, sorry for any buffering. I don't know, there must be something internet-y happening. I don't know if there's anything that I can do to fix that right now. Okay, so kind of, is this getting away from the like idea of the Siren song? I don't really know how it relates to Siren song. Okay, it looks like the stream is back. It says stream is healthy again. I'm feeling very uninspired for this, but maybe we can do something cool with the outfit. Oh no, it says error again. I might need to just pause and restart or something. What am I doing? I'm drawing too much stuff that I didn't mean to draw. I'm getting distracted. What I wanted to do was give her round shoulders. What I wanted to do is give her some like pointy bits on the shoulders. Some kind of pointy attire happening. And maybe it can come down the front like that. Probably her bra is going to be a little bit more on that side. Although I guess I wanted this to be more of a front. This one is a struggle for sure. And also my stream's still doing poorly. So I might just end this and restart the stream. Stream is healthy. Okay. Well, we'll see if it keeps oh no, it came up with an error again. You know what? I'm going to give her some interesting hair. Let's give her some interesting hair here. The hair on this side can just come out down here and then not really show. And then if I want to put an ear here, but I'll give her a long ear and a pointy nose. I'm actually not hating this. As uninspired as I felt like 5 minutes ago, I think I just need to make things very boxy in this drawing, and it's going to work very well. You know, things need to be kind of angular. And then her hand would be kind of open on that side. This will probably have to bring down further. Oh, we have kind of her torso coming in there and then the hair. Hello. I'm sorry if this is buffering a lot. Apparently, I think maybe my internet capacity is not so great right now. I'm not sure, but hopefully it keeps oscillating between being good and not being good. So I apologize for any buffering or lagging. Hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, here I am just trying to figure out. Today's prompt is Siren song. I'm not really doing anything that's related to that right now, but I think I'm working through some things. And it'll come together eventually. So maybe I should give her like a real shirt again, or at least most of a shirt. I feel like I can't give her a full shirt because of her fins here at the waist. And so I feel like I always need to cut the shirt a little short. Right now it's fine? Okay, great. And maybe it's just more of a lag for you. I have an error on my screen that says my stream status is poor, but it's only showing through YouTube and it's not showing through my actual streaming software. So I don't really know what's going on, but I feel like if it's a lag, that's okay. If it's like buffering, then that's when it gets annoying. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing. And I tried to look up some inspiration before. You can hear the sirens. Now my feet won't touch the seafloor. I don't want to mess with the hair too much because I kind of like the way it looks right now. And if I mess with it, I know I'm just gonna like screw it up. So basically my attempt to do anything Siren related has just been giving her pointy ears and pointy things on the her shoulders. Yeah, probably. I mean, like, normally there's a lag anyway, but probably now it's like a lot worse. Because usually even what I see in my preview of the stream is like a few seconds behind. So it's probably even further delayed in getting to you as well. But like I said, I feel like that's the better thing to have happen is that there's a lag, because that we can deal with. It just means I read your comments a little later. Well, it means you don't hear my response to your comments until a little later. And I guess I wouldn't get your comments to things I've said previously for a while. Just because that part hasn't gotten to you. I'm gonna color this in a little bit right now so that I don't forget what it's supposed to be. Is Indy 11 here? I think you might be the only one here. I don't know, because even now my YouTube page isn't showing any viewers. It says 0. So I think it's just like, for me, it might just not be updating. So I don't think he's here anyway. Maybe he fell asleep. I feel like if it's Siren song, I have to do something with a rock, right? I mean, I don't know why. Are they always on rocks? Most of the images that I saw when I looked them up weren't on rocks at all. But maybe she needs to be singing. For you it says 2 viewers. Yeah, I think it's just something in my on my screen, the preview for the stream. It's just not giving me the updated information for that, as far as like the analytics stuff. But at least it's showing me the chat, so that's what counts. Siren. Siren. Even if I did go with like this kind of pose, It's just boring. I would put her head up more. And mess it up. Apparently. Let's have her head come up like that. Do I have a ventilator on in the background? It's my ceiling fan, I assume. Because I had my window open, but there were so many cars driving by that I thought that would probably be annoying. And I didn't know that my microphone was going to pick up the sound of my ceiling fan. Of course, I have it running on high, so... Head is kind of and then she can be like looking down. I think anatomically it doesn't make much sense, but who cares? I mean, I do care. Let's make that 2 pieces instead of 1. I'm running out of room. I gotta move this stuff over. Honestly, I don't need that at all. So, I mean, like, this pose is more interesting. And I'm not, like, you know, forcing myself to be exactly the prompt, but I want to do, I feel like this is not close enough, you know? I feel like it needs something else to match with the prompt. You have 100 more pages of your novel? You're just doing like edits and stuff? Is that what you're doing? I know you mentioned it in the other stream, but I didn't really get the chance to read that comment. I'm just drawing like I'm putting too much pressure on right now. In more ways than one. Let me just draw some triangles on her. It's like this part is weird anyway. Well, I mean, this won't be the final sketch layer no matter what. So, I mean, maybe I can open her mouth up here. And apparently her bottom chin would be a lot further out than her top lip there. Oh, just final read through. Oh, that's good. I mean, that's still a fair amount to read. I don't know how fast you are at reading, but I guess I'm a slowish reader. It's weird when I read out loud. It's fine because I can read things. I can read the words pretty quickly, but if I'm trying to understand them, I have to pay more attention. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I just read slower than a lot of people do. Let me tell you how many times I've gotten Part of Your World stuck in my head as a result of doing Mermay and always drawing Ariel. It's a lot. Welcome to the stream. The lag is not that far behind, by the way. I saw your comment, but I was distracted. The lockdown forced you to cut your own hair, hence your tardiness. Gotcha. I mean, to be fair, I started the stream like half an hour later than I was going to originally because I got caught up in some messages and making my dinner and then eating my dinner. You're a fast reader. See, so I think in an hour I could probably read like 20 pages. Might still need some 5 hours for this. Oh yeah, so maybe we read at the same rate. I don't know. I never understood how people could read like multiple books in one day. I'm like, what? I guess honestly, I just remember when I was in elementary school, we had a day where we did book reading. That was all we did, and it was like, I guess some sort of fundraiser type thing, because it was like get people to make pledges based on how many pages you read during the day. So either like a flat pledge or like for every however many pages, or for like every page you read, I'll give you this much money, or that kind of thing. And I just remember my teacher being disappointed with the amount that I got through during the day, and it stuck with me ever since. So so maybe that's it. But to be fair, it's like, first of all, sometimes your classmates are distracting you, and then also like I had to go do something. The teacher had me go like bring something somewhere for her, and so like that also took time out, you know. Because it was like the whole day I got like 70 pages or something, and then somehow some of my classmates were like, oh, I read like 2 books, and they were reading like Harry Potter and like Lord of the Rings and stuff. Honestly, I think they cheated. I don't think they really read, you know. When I read, I gotta read every word. But like I was saying, I don't read slowly when I read out loud, and I feel like that's the same pace that I'm reading internally. So I don't get how people can. I feel like it's a good pace for reading, but then it ends up being like I don't get that much read. You tend to read relatively slowly when it's important or entertaining. Tend to stop and imagine what you're reading unless you're reading out loud, then it's fast. Yeah, exactly. Like I think also too, so to the point of reading out loud, when I'm reading out loud, I have to concentrate more on, saying the words. And so I don't get distracted very much. So nothing like kind of stops me from reading through something if I'm reading out loud. Whereas that might happen if I'm just reading in my head. But also reading out loud, I can say the words. That doesn't mean that I comprehend them as much. And so while if I'm reading out loud to someone else, I can just go. It doesn't matter. If I'm reading in my head and trying to understand what's happening, it might take me longer to do, and I end up like rereading things. Yeah, when you look back at it, there's no way some of these kids really read Tolkien and understood in like 4th grade. Yeah, I mean, this was 6th grade, so we were a little more sophisticated. But I just think there's no way that they read, like, those are big books. And some of them read more than one book during the day. And I read like 70 pages. I don't know that my teacher was comparing me to them. But still, I just remember her being like disappointed that I apparently read slowly. And then it's haunted me ever since. Just like this Siren is going to haunt me for a long time. You may notice something about my drawings, which is that often I keep mouths shut or just have them smile, because these expressions are hard for me. It's something that I need to work more on. Also, why am I kind of getting some Lady Gaga vibes from this all of a sudden? It's like this. I think I'm just gonna leave it, and then in my next layer I'll do something more with it. But what can I do? What can I do? I almost think, so basically right now, she's kind of this shape, which is almost an S. And if we take that shape and flip it around, and then instead of her head coming up, we like hunch her over a little bit, then maybe I can make an S shape and then have the rest of the words for Siren and have that be like some sort of music related thing. I wish I had sketched that out further away from the drawing. This could have been concept art for the Bad Romance video. I think it's really in the hair that it reminds me of her. I don't even know, like, I don't know what the Bad Romance video looks like, and I'm not even sure if I've ever actually seen it, but let's give her some more bits on the shoulders there, and let's connect it to the bra, which might really just be a shirt. Maybe we can give her something cool on her arm too. I don't know why, because it's not really related to being a siren, but okay, well, let's try this. I'm gonna do new sketch layer. We're finally on layer 2, and it's only taken me over half an hour. And I was really hoping for this one to be a short one. But apparently not. This is what happens when you start out with no ideas. Also, it's usually good to do a little bit of canvas flipping anyway, so that you can get a better sense for what's like kind of wrong anatomically. Like what if your drawing's, you know, leaning too far one way or something like that. Flipping the canvas can help you determine those kinds of things. Well, this is looking a little too flat though. So I do want it to like kind of go back like that a bit. And then is Bad Romance technically a Siren song? That's a great question. We can say it is, and then I can get away with doing this drawing, right? Maybe it just needs to be less, no, that's not a good idea. None of these are working out. None of you know what? Maybe I just need to, let's get some eyes in here first. Now all of a sudden she looks nicer, which is not really what I wanted. Nope. It keeps happening that like I feel like I make some good progress at one point, you know, and I'm just gonna keep that. And then it all goes to hell. So I think it should be more like that, but I don't really want her to look happy. I want her to look evil. I think that's probably good. Let me draw this hair again. It's fun hair to draw. She really looks like Gaga. We don't need to tell anyone about that. I promise that it was not intentional. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing that it wasn't intentional. Shoulder comes out a little too far, I think. I think Bad Romance is one of those songs, because definitely my sisters would listen to Lady Gaga. I think it's one of those songs that I don't feel like I know that well, but I actually probably know more of the words than I think I do. Before I get too far with this, probably I should figure out if I actually want to make this an S shape, then she's got to come down like that and be more over here. You'll tag Lady Gaga in my picture later. Oh no. Okay, the problem here is that I like what I've done so far. Let me duplicate this real quick. Because I basically need to take out all this stuff right now. Let me just make sure that didn't remove anything. Okay. Basically I need to take out this stuff here and her neck. Because if I want this to be S-shaped, then when her head is over here, her neck has to be like this. She's gotta have, let me do this. She's gotta have a giraffe neck. I'm just kidding. Well, okay, what I really should do is, let me undo this again. I need to keep this S guide on a different layer, so let me cut that out. We're gonna call this S guide. Great. Now I can do whatever I please. Okay, and also because I might just make a new layer on top of that too. Okay, so like for the most part, her body here would be the same. I guess she would end up being more... This is kind of ruining the pose that I had. Can I make her still like kind of almost 3/4? This is not working out so well. Sadly, it's not a reference to The Last of Us because I forgot there were giraffes in there. I just love giraffes. And I myself have a longer neck, so I can relate to them. Now, one of my friends, I'm going to delete everything I just did. One of my friends has a lot of animals, and she has some alpacas. And she actually posted on Instagram the other day pictures of the alpacas after they were, what's the word? Shorn. And if you ever see an alpaca without all of the hair, their necks are so long for their body. It's crazy. And I feel like when the hair's there, it's not so noticeable. Or it doesn't seem so extreme. Also, I think that maybe the camera angles that she was using were making it worse. Okay, yeah, like I can't really do the pose that I was doing before. Her torso's gotta kind of come in like this, right? Then her fin would be like here, and then the rest of her body. You brought one of your rabbits. Aw, hello, rabbit. How come you only brought the one? Maybe this hand we put here, and then we do the curl. Then what would I do with the other hand? The other arm's probably here. I feel like this arm should be outstretched in some way. For as much as I've drawn already in 45 minutes, I still have no clue what I'm doing. Other than accidentally drawing Ariel as Lady Gaga. Oh, because you can't carry both of them in one go. I got you. So it's not necessarily a favoritism thing. I don't think that looks right for the hair. I don't think any of that looks right for the hair. I'm gonna undo it all. This is the kind of night I'm having. But still, I think that, like, for every time that I undo something that I just did, I feel we are making some improvements here. I'm gonna make her hair kind of look like a shark fin, I guess. Or some kind of fin. Oh yeah, what's your rabbit's name? Or names? What are your rabbit's names? Doesn't that just look like a mess right now? Doesn't this whole drawing just look like a mess? Oh, that's my S guide. What does it look like if I take off the S guide? I mean, the pose seems a bit more dynamic, so... Nickel! That's cute. Hey, you know what's gonna happen when you put your rabbit, when you return your rabbit to its cage? There you go. You know what's going to happen when you return your rabbit to its cage? I'll wait. Also, I don't care that the joke was already made. I'm making a different version of the joke. Okay, here's the punchline. You want to know what'll happen when you return your rabbit to its cage? You'll be bringing Nickel back. Hilarious. I'm gonna pretend that all the laugh crying emojis that I'm seeing right now are in response to my version of the joke. It's the most obvious joke to make, so I had to make it. What is wrong with this arm? Thank you. I appreciate your appreciation of my joke. Now, there should be something here that is the eye and then her hand. I didn't know which way her hand was facing, but now I feel like it's palm down. So her hand will be the dot of the eye, and then I just need to figure out how else to incorporate these letters, which actually I'm pretty pleased with these letters so far. You ever just like sketch something and then it like actually looks decent? And you're like, oh my god. Maybe after all these years I can draw after all. Except the problem is that I still draw things too big or too small. And then I run out of space. I'm gonna copy this R, but I'm not going to have the room for it. So, I mean, that's okay because right now I'm drawing this at 25%. This is 100%. So I can scale this down a bit. I don't need it to be this big. I'm working with, oh, oops, I forgot to reattach the head. Actually, before I do that, I should make sure, does the head look okay where it's at, or does it need to come back a little bit more? Maybe come back a little bit more and have her neck come out like that. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to leave it as it was, and then if I decide I want to change it, I can change it in the next sketch layer. Let's do there and see how that looks. I mean, yeah, this drawing is still pretty big. I might scale it down more, but I'll keep it like this for now. I think this is the first drawing of Mermay where I've tried to incorporate the title into the drawing before doing the drawing, like before leaving the sketch phase. Every other one I usually try to incorporate. Usually I'll just like write it somewhere. Some of them have been a little more incorporated into the drawing. Obviously the last stream that we did with Wrath, that was very much, we incorporated the letters more so into the drawing and the composition of the drawing, but that all came like after the drawing was done. And in this one I'm actually, you know, trying to do it from the beginning. So it'd be like Siren, and then I'd just write like song under here or something. Or could do it cool like this. Let me rotate the canvas. Song. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I keep it like that. You know what? I just realized that I still have my thumbnail file open, so I'm going to close out of that. Okay. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm pretty much ready to move on with this. And to keep... I think I'm just going to do one more sketch layer. Just to make sure that everything's kind of refined. But I think that at this point, I'm pretty good on where it's at. Although I had the nice little shoulder stuff happening here. I'm glad that I saved this layer because I miss it. I feel like the pose, her pose was a little more interesting when it was, you know, from the front, but at the same time, I don't think it was really that much more interesting. Okay. Where to begin? Where to begin? Well, I wanted to like have things be a little boxier. And is there a way to still incorporate her shoulder thing? I don't know, because it was like kind of coming out. But I think it would pretty much be, you wouldn't really see much of it from this angle, at this perspective. We have the bra here. Also, okay, I was gonna say, am I drawing with a brush? I think I'm drawing because it seems like these lines are coming out thicker than I want them to be. You typed a comment and it got censored. Oh no. I don't know if there's any thing that I can do about that. I don't have anything that's like telling me that you got censored, so. Oh, that's weird. It was a nice pose, but didn't hold the S shape. Yeah, exactly. I think it was a decent pose, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work for the concept. You're saying that Nichols, the kinder rabbit, always takes care of his partner and licks her fur? Is that what you were saying? And they censored the word licks? I assume that's what you mean because I have no idea what you would mean otherwise. I'm like, what else could that word be? I don't think it could be anything else. I'm going to give her very pointy hands also. I think maybe the lip needs to come out more. Is this how mouths work? Oh my god, no wonder my... Remember how I just said that I felt like the brush size was much thicker than it should be? It's because I didn't have my pressure sensitivity on. So this is what it looks like right now, and this is what it looks like when I put my pressure sensitivity on. Usually I have it on. I turned it off earlier because, so I've been doing this art trade with one of my friends, and we are recreating stills from different movies. So like we started off with Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Then actually last week we did a still from Lost in Space, which I believe is actually a TV show, but same thing. This week we're doing a still from the movie Malcolm X. And in that shot, there's a lot of lights in the scene. So I was just using my brush to like make these dots. So that's why I had my pressure sensitivity turned off, and because I usually have it on like almost all the time unless I'm doing like coloring things in certain spots, I didn't even think to check to see if that was what was causing the issue, and it was. So, your YouTube hates your messages. It's so sad. This eyebrow doesn't look maniacal enough. Does that look like a maniacal eyebrow? I feel like it's up too high. It's also really not the right not the right angle. I'm trying to think of like what how does an eyebrow end? These are life's biggest questions. So we need to give her some hair that comes down here. And then the rest of her hairline. Oh no, don't don't go to YouTube jail. I finally do like the way this part of the hair came out. So that's good. I've just realized, well, I guess my whole canvas isn't flipped. It's just that initial sketch layer that's still flipped. That's okay. We don't need to go back to that one. Maybe if her bottom eyeline were angled upward, she would look more evil. Yeah, have it like a little... I think maybe even... have that come down a little bit more too. Nope, that looks confused. I almost had it. I think that looks pretty good. Now that she's about to hit the buzzer. Oh my god, yeah. Well, that's okay. Wow, just someone on the loudest motorcycle in the whole world just drove by. I'm assuming it's a motorcycle anyway. I didn't see it go by, but I heard it. And I'm sure you probably heard it too. If you can hear my ceiling fan, I'm sure you heard that motorcycle. Let me know. Do you hear all the cars that go by my house? 24. It's been a lot of cars this evening. Just want to note that it's been a lot more cars than has been the normal for the past couple months. Give her Super Saiyan 3 hair. Well, there's two problems with that. One, I don't really know what that looks like. And two, anything that I can imagine what Super Saiyan hair looks like, I'm not a fan of. But I could be misimagining it. That's a possibility. I won't rule that out. But I will rule out Super Saiyan hair. Do I feel like drawing out the word siren? Yes. It's my duty to do so. Also, it's not going to take me that much effort. And I'm just going to do it this way. Da, 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 da. You hear the fan in the cars. It is what it is, and that's with my window closed, by the way. So now you know what I get to hear all the time. I mean, should her hand be in a different position? Should it be more like, let's see, what am I envisioning? Like this. Like a beckoning. It's a little too long for the hand. I think it would need to be more like this, probably. But also maybe not quite so bent, or bent in a couple of places. You might not see her thumb so much. What happens when you... Oh, Super Saiyan 3 hair is long. An angry fist. I'm trying to get her to like look like she's like luring someone, you know. I'm looking up Super Saiyan 3 hair. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, but it's still that very like pointy, spiky hair, which it gives me the heebie-jeebies just looking at it. The beckoning hand makes more sense. Well, thank you. I want to say that the particular drawing of it does not make sense, but we'll get there eventually. The concept, I'm glad it works. The problem is that I can't... It's one of those poses. I might just need to take a picture of myself and look at the picture, because I can't really... For the futuristic drawing, which, remember, you'll see the video process for that in a couple days, likely on Tuesday. I could just hold my hand out and draw. For the hand that she's got with the electricity coming out of it, I just kind of looked at my own hand, just held up my own hand at the angle I needed it to be at in the pose, and then I could just draw from there. But this one I can't, the angle I can't manage. Okay, I think the problem is that the thumb shouldn't be out that way. It should be more, oh, I still have my eraser on. It should be more out this way. And then the fingers we can figure out later. It makes it look like a claw. And then between that and the singing, I'm just having flashbacks to my crustacean drawing with Sebastian. With the Sebastian Ariel abomination. I think this is looking pretty good. Do you like how all of my lines are much darker up at the top because of how much more effort I have to put into those parts of the body versus the tail, which is just like that? And also, I guess because I was still using my brush without pressure sensitivity. Do you see yourself as Ariel Brooke? No, I only see myself as Brooke, but Ariel Brooke sounds cool too. Do I see myself as Ariel? You mean, do I also long to be human and find companionship among the human race? Sure. Do I think that I have a great singing voice? No. Do I like collecting things that have very little use to most people? Well, maybe. I have to think more about this question. Do I see myself as Ariel? I will say that growing up, The Little Mermaid was always one of my favorite movies. And definitely one of my favorite Disney movies. The darker lines can work to my advantage in some points. I mean, by this sketch layer, there's enough that, we're more so defining things in general than sketching them out completely, except for like this area here. But in earlier sketch layers, it helps with the darker lines because then I can be like, that's the line that I want. You like my singing voice? Thank you. I just think that I have trouble singing. That's all. I have trouble hitting the notes sometimes, and I think one of the things that is a skill, I don't know if it's something that can be learned, but if you have the ability to hold notes steady for any period of time, I think it makes you sound so much better no matter what else you're doing while singing, like no matter how else you sound. And so like Chris can do that a lot. I can't, and it's hard. That's why I sang Strawberry Swing the way that I did, because when I sing like that, it's easier for me to do stuff, and when I can kind of like move the notes all around, then it sounds better. Maybe doing a gradual fading of color from top to bottom as if it were eroded away by water. I like that. Or if it's like kind of murkier down at the bottom. You can also maybe play around with different textures because she could kind of be like somewhat under the water. So we can definitely play around with that. I might just draw all the lines solid at first and then just use masks or a mask to fade it out a little bit more. Yes, she has been privileged. That's quite an overstatement to hear Strawberry Swing. And I did also do Death Will Never Conquer. It's a funny thing. I'll go off on another tangent. It's a funny thing because I feel like my voice sounds better when I'm singing lower notes versus higher notes, but I have a harder time hitting lower notes. I can only go so low, and I can pretty easily hit higher notes. But andarasi. Yes. Andarasi. I think that her hand needs to be bigger. I feel like in the other version that I had, which I still have right here, this hand, I feel like I actually did a good job with the size of that versus the size of her. This one could use a little bit of work. I think the hand that's more up front here also needs to be bigger. Maybe something like that. I don't know. It's close enough. Then I think maybe, let me bring this sketch layer back real quick. Just so I can give her jaw. Give Ariel her jaw back. Does it look enough like she's singing rather than just going like, ah, yeah? Yeah. I'm gonna leave that in my sketch layer. Okay, should we try to play it up with a different brush for the line art? I don't know, in this concept art brush pack, do I have a better brush for line art, but maybe, what's this one? Ooh, this could be a cool texture. Oh no, I'm drawing it on my sketch layer. When I was doing the futuristic video the other day, I had a scare where I thought that I was drawing my line art on my sketch layer. It turned out that I had just recently merged them together by accident, so it only took a few undo steps for me to get there. You want me to speak in my entire made-up Russian accent? I mean, it's not really supposed to be Russian, but it just kind of comes out that way. And you'll have to keep track of how long it's been. Could you imagine if someone came into the stream while I'm talking like this and then they'd be like, what is wrong with her voice? He said she looks like she's ready to buzz for the $1 million question. She sure does. Didn't you say that before? Am I going crazy? If Ariel was singing a Coldplay song, what song would it be? Yeah, Swallowed in the Sea. Or Crests of Waves. Because Ariel's really longing to be saved, you know? I'm not sure how much of a difference this brush makes versus... Oh, wait. It's not... I thought it was a different one. No, I don't want that. I don't want any of those. You know what? I'm just gonna use this one, I guess. But not at 47 pixels. No, thank you. No, thank you. Might do 10. We'll see. Switch it up a little bit, you know? They would only think something was wrong when you went back to the normal accent. They'd be like, oh no, she's American. I'd be like, surprise. I've had people tell me before that they thought I was British and were surprised that I was American. Like, born and raised. Sketches. I'm gonna put my sketch layers in one nice little group. I forgot the word. We've been going for an hour and a half. Can you imagine? Let's see, can I wrap this up in the next half an hour? That would be great. I like doing these drawings, but sometimes it's just like, I want to spend the rest of my night watching the Netflix series Dead to Me, season 2, because it came out a couple weeks ago and I haven't watched it yet. But I have to do this drawing first. Sometimes I think miracles happen when I do my line art. And then I'm like, oh my god, I like the way this looks. Or, sorry, I'm like, oh, I like the way this looks. Very nice. That one was bad because sometimes it's hard when I try to do it. The accents just come out naturally, as unnatural as they are. Sometimes I don't realize that I'm doing it. And by the way, it's something that I've had to be more aware of when I'm teaching, because I'm like, I'm sitting here thinking, I can't accidentally slip into a fake accent while I'm teaching like that. At least not, I feel like at least not if I'm in front of the class giving lectures. If I'm talking to students one-on-one, then I might do fake accents, but I tone it down a little bit. I'm like, I know that I'm going to do a fake accent here, or I'm going to say something in a weird way. But, you know, it's all good. I thought you were from the One Coldplay group on Twitter, so I figured you were a Brit. Oh, neither of us were in the group. Well, there we go. Yeah, I'm not British. I think people also have an opinion of what Americans must be like, which is not always entirely wrong. But it's not to say that all Americans are a certain way. And especially can depend on where you come from. And I don't even just mean like if you're a Southern American or not. Because even if you're on the West Coast versus the East Coast, totally different. And I feel like even if you're on one coast, like Florida's on the East Coast, and so is like Virginia, and then so is Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and they're all very different places. So, you know, even within a single state where you live can, you know, have a huge impact on how you live. Oh, giant Coldplay 3 exclamation points. Wow. Yeah, I don't really like being in group chats because everyone starts talking and then it's frustrating to keep up. If it like our group chat where it's just the 3 of us, that's fine. But I feel like anything more than like 3 or 4 people can get to be much sometimes. And then they'll just like die and no one talks in the group chat at all. So it's either constant messages or nothing. you technically being American means you can and cannot judge me for being American. I'll give you that. That's fair. We Americans, we technical Americans, can judge each other all we want. But you said that you had lived in California, right? Or was it somewhere else? I remember we were talking about California. I was born in New York State. I grew up mostly in New York State. Do I know what her fingers look like? I assume that's addressed to me in regards to Ariel. And this hand, does it look like a claw? It's so crazy you had to mute notifications for Twitter, then after a while the group basically died. Yeah, I was in, well, I still am in a group chat for Animal Crossing that actually also Georgia was the one who invited me to it. That was kind of like everyone would talk a lot when there's talking and then nothing for a long period of time. It's still a somewhat active chat, but not as active as it used to be. And I think it has a fair amount of people, but only, oh my god, they look like salad fingers. I should have known that you were going to say that. Her whole body is in the shape of an S now too, so she could be a salad herself. I've had the experience of muting notifications for Discord servers. I was in one Coldplay one and it was just too much. And I didn't care about most things that people were talking about. So eventually I left it because I think there were some issues. It was one that like Coldplay used to have a Discord server. I think it was run by Coldplay, or at least run by like the same people. And then they like merged with this other Discord, and then there were problems with the other Discord server. So I think they were like, we're cutting ties with these people. And I was like, then that's the perfect time for me to just completely leave because I don't even look at the notifications anyway. I don't look at any of the posts. And then with some of the other Discord servers that I'm in, I've muted them before. And then I unmuted them since then. But I basically will always just mark the messages as read without reading them. Oh, you were born in North Carolina and lived there for 10 years on and off. Lived in the Caribbean for 5 years in between, then Florida 8 years, and in Miami and Fort Myers. Okay, so you're East Coast too. So you know. I don't know what you know, but you know. I've lived in New York, Pennsylvania, Arizona, very briefly, and I guess also technically sort of Maine. It was more like we stayed there with my grandfather for a bit. For like a couple of months, about as long as I lived in Arizona, actually. I don't know why. I mean, I kind of wanted to give her some, like a different outfit, but I think I'm just gonna stick with this. I don't think I'm gonna change it because I don't feel like changing it. I gotta get my hand to move in the right direction here. Let's just do that. You know, I always had this thought that, like, doing these streams would make me draw more professionally. Like, I would be like, oh, because I'm live streaming it. Well, like I was saying with when I teach, I make a conscious effort not to slip into my fake accents. That when I'm live streaming, I must make a more conscious effort to draw well because I'm being watched. But the thing that I found is that most of the time I'm just like, let's keep going. This is good enough during my live streams. And maybe actually put more care into it when I'm not live streaming. So it's a funny balance. Okay, so I'm looking at this beautiful reference picture that I have of my own hand. And I'm just drawing based off of that. Guys, I cannot stress enough the importance of having reference images while you draw for things that you're not sure about or things that seem a little bit off or things that you've never drawn before. It helps so much. I mean, this still looks kind of terrible, but I'm okay with it. East Coast, West Coast, you never really understood other than it was a rap thing in the 80s and 90s. I think that, I mean, there's that. And I guess just because, like, I don't know. I don't really know. Because it's like growing up somewhere different, in a different climate and stuff like that. I mean, definitely, you know, it's like a different history. And a different like climate and stuff like that in some parts, but I guess it also depends on where you live. Like if you're on the West Coast but you're in like Washington, it's probably not as far off from being on the East Coast as like living in some of the areas in California could be. You get why, but it's not that big a deal to you. It's the same country. Yeah, I think we get a little regional sometimes. Everyone's like, oh, you're from this place or whatever. Wonder who the other two viewers are who've been with us this whole time. One of them is you're watching on PS4 and commenting by your phone. Who's our other viewer? It might be one of, like, my family members or something that's watching and not saying anything. I think Olivia joined us for one of the streams. One of the past streams. I think it might have been the last one that she was briefly here. But she commented. So I don't know who it would be that's here but not commenting. But thank you for watching, whoever it is. Thank you to the lurkers. They make the world go round, sort of. They watch the world go round. That's what we need. We need people to watch it. Sorry, I was thinking about community because I mentioned before that my plans for the rest of the night once I finish this drawing is to start the second season of the Netflix show Dead to Me. It's been out for like 2 weeks now, but I haven't gotten the chance to watch it because I've been focusing on other things and because I was rewatching Community. So what was I rewatching before that? I rewatched New Girl, which I had actually started my rewatch like a year or so ago and only got through, I think, part of the up to the 4th season, and had not finished it. So I finished it a few months ago, and then I decided to start rewatching Community. So I did that, and I just finished it the other night. And I watched the table read that they did as well, featuring Pedro Pascal, which was incredible. And I missed that show so much. So that's what I was thinking about while I was not talking and doing my line work here. You once met someone here who was from Florida, specifically Broward County. When you told her you lived in Kendall, she was like, "Oh, you from down south?" What? If you're in Florida, it's all south. That's okay if it makes you feel better. Where I'm from in New York is only a few hours away from the city, like probably 2.5 hours to drive. I mean, depending on if you're actually going into the city, because, you know, the traffic to get into the city, like, slows you down quite a bit. But to get in that area is about 2.5 hours. So, not very far. It's not right outside of the city, but it's not that far. And basically, like, we're not actually part of upstate New York. Like, official upstate New York is really, like, starts probably another hour or so away from that area, north of that area. But a lot of people will just call anything that's outside of the city upstate. So I was like, I'm from upstate, but not really. Because then other people who aren't familiar with New York will associate that with, like, Buffalo, which is also in a very different region. New York is a very strangely shaped state. I gave her some hair in the front. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Did I draw hair in that other sketch layer? In the front? No, because I felt like it, like, didn't make sense to, I guess, but I also feel like it doesn't make sense to not do it. And I think that what I need to do is connect this line here and have all of this be the hair and not show her back, because the hair should be covering it. And maybe I'll even have a little bit of hair here. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I can get rid of some of these parts too. Does that look weird? If I put in some more. I'm starting to go too much to the side of Super Saiyan for my comfort. I'm gonna leave it. I don't think it's right. But I'm not bothered enough to fix it. Did I finish my line art? Well, maybe not entirely. I have to draw the strap here. Oh no, I have my erase tool selected. Okay. I guess this works. You noticed I weren't going to say anything about the hair? The Super Saiyan hair? I think it's okay now because I took out, there's not this huge division between it. So it feels more like one chunk that just got split a little bit. Okay, I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna do the letters on another layer just to keep them separate. I think I might also, give me 1 second please. I'll keep talking as I go, but I need to get up and turn my light on because it's getting too dark in here for me to see what I'm doing on my keyboard. So I just need to turn my light on. I have usually I have a light that's closer to my desk that I turn on that I can turn on without getting up, but since my ceiling fan's already on, I'm just gonna use my ceiling light. Okay, should I do the No. I'm not. I decided I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to kind of give it this style. Because why not? I might even just color all of these in and not keep them lined anyway. It's been dark there for 2 hours now. Yeah, it gets darker for you earlier, huh? It just got dark, basically, here. There's always a point because of, just like where my desk is at in the room, that before the sun goes down completely, usually there's a point where it starts to get a little dark for me to be able to see the keys well. But I just kind of pushed past that tonight, and now it's dark out, so. I like to try to hold off on turning on my lights until I absolutely need them. One is part of a, try to save some energy and stuff, but also because I just don't really like artificial lights. They kind of bother me sometimes. So, you turn the lights on in the house after the Uncharted stream? Yeah, again, for me, it just kind of depends on where I'm at. My room has very big windows, and the way that the house faces is the sun, when the sun is out, it was a little bit cloudy today, and kind of rainy, but when the sun is out, basically I get the light in my room as soon as the sun starts to rise until it sets. So I see more of the sunset itself because I'm a little bit more like west southwest facing, but the light still comes in very well brightly in the morning. And at this time of year, the sun is up at like 5:30 in the morning. So that's my life. But other parts of the house get a little shadier. So even during the day, I might have to like use the lights when I'm in those rooms. Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to just color these in because I don't feel like cleaning them up. Might be too much work to do that. So I will just do this. Use my paint bucket tool to fill them in. And then I just have to go fill this line that gets left behind. If I double click with the paintbrush tool, it like pixelates, so like these have a softer edge to them even though it's still the hard brush. There's still a slightly softened edge, so you don't get super pixelated, but if I like hit this again, you'll see what I mean. It gets a really jagged edge around it. So I can only fill it in once, and then I have to go around here. I think there is a way to work around it with using like the selection tools and like expanding selection and then filling in from there, but it's okay. I'm just gonna do it this way. You're fed up by your novel. Why? You said this is a newer one that you wrote, right? One that is in German, so it's not the one that I read, right? Well, it might be rejected or ignored, but you have to keep trying. Otherwise, you'll never get someone to read it, Like, if you let the prospects of being rejected or ignored stop you from putting your voice out, then it will never be heard. I know, that's easier said than done. Easier to tell someone else to think that way than to do it yourself. This is a very intense process. I just thought about A Rush of Blood to the Head skit. Johnny Goes Jazz. When Chris introduces them working on the album, and he goes in and talks to Will, who's literally doing work on the album. Good times. And then Will says, well, we need help. I'm just thinking about the whole video now. Your goal is to make writing a career, be able to make a living from writing alone, and you need to make it. Well, I think the other thing too is that there's more than one way to go about things. So, I mean, it seems like you have more specifically the goal of being a fictional novel writer, maybe, or novel writer or fiction writer. But there might still be other ways to accomplish that goal. Or other writing related things that you can do to make your living while you're starting out. And it might take a long time to get to a point where the writing that you want to do or any of that stuff can sustain you, but okay. This is looking pretty decent. I'm gonna do one more line here for the sea. But I don't know if I'll keep it. Anyway, the reason why I give that advice is because I feel like for me personally, as someone who is also in a creative field, that there's no way that I can possibly follow things in what may seem like the traditional path. And I think there's nothing wrong with not doing things in the traditional way or not wanting to do things in the traditional way. Especially because with technology being what it is, I don't know the specifics for how it translates to writing, but there are so many different things that you can do, even within one creative field, so many different kinds of jobs that you can have, and so many different kinds of content that you make, and so many different ways to get that content to people and stuff like that, that it's, I don't think there should be one traditional way, maybe, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's good for a lot of people to have a traditional way that they can get in, but it's not bad to do it differently either. And you might find that it gets you somewhere that you didn't know you want it to be, or that you didn't think about getting to, but that you're still happy with. You know what I mean? That's the approach that I've taken with my creative career. So maybe I'm just being overly optimistic about that, because I can't say that I'm really exactly where I want to be yet either, but I think that I'm getting there. So, but I definitely have not gone in any real traditional path. So, yeah, it'll take a long time to get a foot in the door as a first step. Yeah. And have another job, of course, with the goals one day to do novel writing as a full-time job. Yeah, I guess I just meant that even if you went, because, I mean, I don't know specifically what your current job is, but is it writing based? Do you do a lot of writing in your job? Because I was thinking, even if what you want to do is write novels, maybe if your career right now doesn't involve a lot of writing, you could find a different job as a writer, but that's not doing novels. Do you see what I mean? For example, I'll think about this John Green, who has written novels. He's a writer, and right now he'll reference this podcast he does called The Anthropocene Reviewed, which I highly recommend. It's a good podcast. So in each episode, there'll be 2 different things that he reviews, and they're different facets of the human-centered world or something like that. I forget exactly what he says. But he's talked about how, even though he's not necessarily working on books, he's still a writer, and that's his writing job, is writing out the episodes of that podcast. So I think that maybe also broadening perspective on what qualifies you personally as a writer or as whatever, because I don't mean to talk just you specifically, but again, this is my approach more broadly, that that can help you out as well in feeling more successful in what you do and more confident in what you do. Kind of redefining your criteria for success and making it really personal to you. Do you want to be completely independent animator one day? I think what I'd really like to do, and I've thought more about creating a Patreon page. I don't really have much of a following right now, so I don't know how successful that might be in a monetary sense. But I've thought about it before. Someone asked me one time, if you were just given a bunch of money to the point that you didn't ever have to work again, what would you do? And I was thinking well, probably I would make short films all day, just make the stuff that I want to make. So I would love to be able to do that to a point where I can at least spend enough of my time focusing on that stuff, and then maybe other parts of my time doing stuff for other people, if I'm not able to make enough money just doing my own stuff. But I think that's kind of where I'd like to get at some point. Yes. But in the meantime, I have a job teaching. That's been helpful for me because it's the only technically steady source of income that I've had. Otherwise, I do freelance work. And while I've had, I haven't really had any long periods of time without work. I've been lucky that usually I at least have something, even if it's not much. But that freelance life can be hard, not knowing exactly when a project ends. If you're I don't have a lot more projects lined up yet, but then it might be a couple of weeks, and then I have other people asking me for work, or some clients who I get regular work from, that kind of thing. So I've been going through that the past year and a half now, basically, has been my work situation. So I think I'm getting there. But I do a lot of things, and in the freelance aspect, not all of them are related to animation or even to like drawing and being creative. Some of them are more like slightly coding based stuff or programming with like Captivate. Some of them, a lot of them have been more animation based recently, but it didn't necessarily start out that way. So, you know, that's my journey thus far. Let's see, what else do you have to say? You have a lot to say, and I'm getting to it. Do a lot of writing in your job, but scientific for research groups, more like project development and grant application writing. Yeah, the problem is that while I'm grateful for my job and it's not unpleasant, I don't have a lot of passion for it. Almost none. It's just a job for me. Yeah, exactly. So I think that you're already on a good path, like taking your time outside of your job to build up this other career. That's kind of like what I've had to do. You know, it helps that I went to school specifically for animation, so I have some resources from my university. And that's helped me out a lot. My program director, like I've worked for his company before doing both animation stuff and more dev-based stuff. So like that's been really helpful for me, and I've been very lucky that I have that. So I can imagine that if it's like something that's maybe outside of what you studied at university, then it could be harder for you to like break into and to like get connections. But on the other hand, you also did have a live stream where you did a reading. I think that's something, even however small it may seem to you, or however much technical difficulties you may have had with it, that is still a step. I think that even if it doesn't feel like you're going anywhere, don't discredit the small things that you do. It's okay. Wish you had money so you could commission me for small projects. Oh, well, you know what? Hopefully one day, yes. Well, I hope that for you that you are able to switch into doing the writing that you want to do, and maybe you'll be able to make money off of that, and then you can, by that point, maybe I'll have my Patreon page up and running and you can join me as a patron. I wish success for us all, but success can really be however you define it for yourself. That's what I think. So just figure out what it means for you and go with that. And if it does, I mean, there's nothing wrong with wanting to follow traditional paths, and if that's what is really important to you, then that's fine. But I think it's good to take time to ask yourself if it is 100% important, or if you can feel just as happy and successful having done it a different way. Do you see what I mean? You don't have to apologize that you talk so much. I feel like I should apologize that I talk so much, because I've been sitting here talking and not doing anything with my drawing, which honestly not good, because now I have to spend more time coloring it in. Whoops. That's okay. So let me open up this one from yesterday, Ablaze, because I actually colored in Ariel, and then I set the blend mode so that she's all the same. She's like monochromatic again. That's okay. That's fine. By the way, yeah, you don't apologize for talking too much. You're good. I like having all these comments that I can read. Just your regular 3 a.m. existential crisis. I understand completely. Okay, so let me kick myself into gear now. It's time to color some stuff. Let's do the hair first. Oh my god, what is happening? Oh, okay, never mind. Sometimes, because my drawing tablet is basically a second monitor, sometimes some of the windows in Photoshop still open up. Whoops, I just hit my my pop screen, my pop filter. Sometimes some of the windows, the extra windows in Photoshop that pop up, open up on my laptop screen. And so then I'm like, why can't I do anything on this screen? And it's because something else is open, but it's on the other screen, and I like miss it. And then I'm like, oh, that's why. This other thing is open. Duh me. Okay. Do I want to try playing with this brush for like coloring her in? The answer apparently is yes. I'm going to color her in with this, and then I'm going to mask it out. You had existential crisis last night too? I feel like I've definitely been there before. I'm trying to think. Have I recently had an existential crisis? I mean, I feel like it's hard not to have an existential crisis in the world that we're living in right now. Oh, I gotta change the color here. Oh, well, okay, that's fine. I changed my brush for the eraser, but I think I actually don't want to do that. And I want to keep it as this brush, and then I'll just go back. Whoops. To the other brush. Delete, but not actually deleting because I'm using mask layer. Okay, this whole thing here. You know what? I'm just going to use the eraser tool for this. Crisis was about your whole life. I mean, I guess that makes sense for being an existential crisis. I can't really explain why, because we've been talking about things like me getting the song Part of Your World stuck in my head through doing these mermaid drawings of Ariel. And then we also talked about Under the Sea. So you would think that maybe one of those songs would be stuck in my head right now. But for some reason, I have the song Digital Love by Daft Punk stuck in my head. And I have no idea why. I didn't even listen to that song today. I don't think I even listened to really any songs today. I listened to Somebody Told Me by The Killers because I was trying to look up the video. But otherwise, I did not really listen to music. So I'm not sure why I have this song stuck in my head. I think maybe because in the chorus they say, I don't know what to do. And I feel like I've said that a lot in this stream, so maybe that's why I have it stuck in my head. Anyway, let's talk about our existential crises over here. Responsibilities, relationships, disadvantages, yeah. "30, 27. I'm 27 also. We're very close in age, all of us. But I heard your 30s is where you actually get your life together, so I don't think even the people who have certain things by the time they're 30 are really where they want to be, you know? Something that I've noticed is even the people who have certain things are not in a great place just by having those things. And that in some ways those things are causing them other problems. So I'm not saying don't complain about things that are happening in your life, and if you're not happy with where you're at, that's fine. But it's just something that I've noticed more when I start to think about that stuff. I'm like, okay, I could do this and have this stuff, but I'm not really seeing that it's doing a lot of good for other people around me. So maybe I don't need to stress myself out about not having it. That's helped me out a lot. Okay, should I do... Where did all my colors go? Oh, they're all the way over there. They're so far away. "27 being scared of being 30. I think I said on Twitter one day that, like, it's not the thought of being 30 that scares me or anything. It's like, the passing of time until getting to 30, I think, is what I find more distressing. Like, if I just, like, woke up and was 30... Well, if I woke up tomorrow and was 30, I would be concerned still. Because that's 2.5 years of my life that I missed. But thinking about being, like, 29 and being like, oh, I'm gonna be 30... That is what is more uncomfortable to me. Not yet being 30, but soon turning 30. I don't know why, but the thought of that is what stresses me out. Personally. The reason it bothers you is because a lot of things are because of what others did or didn't do and put you in long-term situations. If it was your fault, it's one thing. Yeah, that's absolutely fair too. Especially what you were talking about, like disadvantages and stuff like that. That is very valid. And I can understand why that would be really upsetting. I have to say, it's in these moments. It's not that I don't like coloring my drawings. I actually think I have more fun sometimes with coloring and like doing the extra things to add texture or like make things look cool and stuff like that. Like when we put wrath in the drawing the other day. Sometimes I have more fun doing those things than the sketch and line art process. But then other times, oh, this is not colored in. This hand needs to be colored in. But then sometimes, like right now, I just think, man, I wish I didn't have to color this thing in. But I like need to color it in or it's not gonna look right, you know? I want to commit to this and follow through, but sometimes then I'm like, why did I agree to do this month-long thing? Why did I agree to put myself through this every single day? And I know I have a reason. And the reason is that I wanted to get more practice with drawing, and I wanted to get more practice with disciplining myself, like leveling up my discipline skills when it comes to drawing. And I think I've done some of that. And I think it's been a nice opportunity for me to post more artwork, for me to first of all complete more art. That's another reason why I want to see these through all the way, is because I'm a doodler. So it's very easy for me to do the sketchy stuff and then leave it at that and not do anything else with my art. So in this process, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again in some of the other videos that I do, at least for Mermay. But you know, just doing this, whether or not I've learned things from it, whether or not I've improved, like I think my process of getting to the final drawing has improved, like sketches and stuff like that, putting more thought into the idea of what I'm drawing before I draw it out, or doing enough iterations to get to a point where it's more thought out. Because, like, I mean, thinking about where this sketch started, and I just had this pose that was like a model pose, but it wasn't dynamic enough, and then I did another version that was a little more dynamic, and then I ended up with this pose here. So like thinking about going through that process, I think I've improved with that. I don't know how much my final drawings have improved overall. I'm pretty happy with how a lot of them have come out, but I think, you know, things could still be improved, sure. But any of that stuff aside, if nothing else, I've come out of this with, I mean, right now, 22 image files, but when this process is over, it'll be 30 drawings that I never would have had otherwise. So I feel like this was a great choice for me to participate in this art challenge. And I'm hoping that I can take some of this with me outside the month of May, which, who else is, we're talking about crises over here, who else is freaking out that it's almost the end of May already? I hate that in general, because to me it always feels like this time of year goes by so fast, because it's my favorite time of the year. I love spring and summer, and like the fall is okay because my birthday is in fall. I don't like winter. Like, even when it comes to Christmas, I like Christmas. I don't celebrate it in any religious way, but you know, I grew up celebrating Christmas in a commercial way. So I enjoy that, but Christmas technically, oh, and I also really like New Year's as well. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I like the idea of the new year, but Christmas is only like 4 days after winter starts. And then New Year's is a week after that. And then it's like, I don't want this anymore. Can it just be mid-March and spring starts? I start my spring countdown as soon as summer ends. So the first day of fall, I'm like, it's 6 more months until spring. Can't wait for it. So I feel like this time of year, no matter what, always goes too fast for me. And especially since, you know, being in school always seems very too short. I'm not a student anymore, but I'm still teaching, so I'm still bound to that schedule as well. So it's like you have a little bit of freedom and then it's like have to go back, but I guess it beats working the same job year round. That's why, like I was talking about before with like doing the traditional things, I cannot imagine having a single job that you go to all the time and that's the only job that you have. It's like my brain does not compute that. I've never had one full-time job. I've always had part-time jobs or doing like project-based work, you know? So that's another reason why I personally don't care to follow the traditional path, because I can't imagine myself living in that way. 31 days of daily drawings is a good analysis of progress literally from day to day. Yeah. I mean, and I think that like I had some drawings that were pretty strong out of the gate, at least that I felt like. It also depends on things like what the prompt is. So like today I didn't really have much of an idea for the prompt. Yesterday I didn't really have that much of an idea, or like I had an idea but it was pretty basic, and the drawing that I ended up with is not really, it doesn't really involve too much. Although I've actually had probably more people comment on that than usual, or I've had people comment on it who haven't commented on any of my other drawings really, saying that they like thought it like looked good and stuff like that. So sometimes it's like you don't really have to be that sophisticated with the drawing for it to look nice, but can depend on what the prompt is. It can depend on how I'm feeling on that day. Oh, you're gonna do the parachute arts challenge in July? Yes, I will definitely participate in that. I'm really excited about that, the thought of doing that. So also, one thing that I've thought about doing for Mermay specifically, but I haven't gotten to it, and maybe it might be something that I save for the last day, because what is the last day? The last day will be next Sunday, so I'll have more time to work on that. I kind of wanted to do one drawing that incorporates some animation, so maybe like basically do a little GIF or a little video, but I haven't really had the time to put in to doing something like that, because even when I just do these static drawings, it can still take me upwards of like 3 or 4 hours. I mean, we're already at 2.5 hours, which I cannot believe. So there goes my hopes of getting the rest of this drawing done 30 minutes ago, but that's okay. I think it's mostly because I did my huge spiel. But maybe I can do it for the last day. Maybe I can do more stuff like that in the parachutes one too. But we'll have to see. It can be mundane having the same job. Yeah, even if I think about working for like an animation studio or something and basically just drawing all day, I don't know, it still feels like I need to do other things, or I don't know how to explain it. I can't fathom going into a job every day and just doing the same working. I don't know how to explain it. But I think you get what I mean, though. Yeah, participate. You'd love to see an animation streamed. If I do an animation for the last day, I don't even remember what the prompt is on the last day. Let me check my files here. Smartphone. Well, that could be a good one to do. I could do some animation for that. What am I saying? Oh, if I do the animation for that one, then I can stream it. And like I said, I'm hoping to, one of the things that I'm hoping to take with me outside of Mermay, beyond the improved drawing skills, let's say, is doing these live streams for art-based stuff. I think I mentioned in the past that last year I had tried to do, well, I did like a live stream for some animation that I was doing at one point. These icons, basically there was an icon set that some design companies put out. They were like graphic design based icons. So there was like, you know, paint bucket tool and crop tool and stuff like that. And what I did is I took those icons and animated them. So every single, oh no, I just erased the fin and didn't mask them. That's okay. Every single icon, well, I think there were a couple that I didn't do because it was like the Illustrator icon and, or like the Illustrator logo and Photoshop logo, and I was like, I'm not animating those. But every other icon in that pack I did an animation for. That video is still on my channel if you want to watch that back. I did a live stream of myself working on one of them. And I wanted to start doing more of that stuff even last summer, but I just never stuck. So, but now that I have you guys as my audience, I think that's more incentive for me to keep doing this, because, you know, otherwise it's like I had some people watching, but not people who were like regularly watching my stuff. It might be like some of my friends who like are free on this day but not at this time or that time, you know what I mean? I feel like we have established some times for us to do these live streams sort of together, and so I think it might make more sense to my brain if I say, hey, we should do this now. Oh no, I'm coloring on the fin layer. I gotta stop yapping and start paying attention to what I'm doing. It's getting too late for me. I'm like starting to lose it, you know? It's just my life. Ugh. How can I, okay, I need to go back a little bit. I'm going to keep going lighter here. And then start to darken it a little bit more. You're thinking about the smartphone prompts and envisioned an Apple iPod-esque silhouette. Oh, that's an interesting one. Maybe what I can do is an something more inspired by a certain iTunes commercial from the year 2008. And do some silhouettes and like color stuff and particles. I love particles. Even though I just use like basic particle effects in After Effects and I don't have any fancy pants plugins like Trap Code because I don't have the budget for that right now. But I could probably do something with that. That could be cool. Okay, I'm gonna do the mask thing that I was talking about with this so it kind of disappears a little bit more. And I'm gonna put a color in the background here. Let's see what we can come up with. Oh, that's terrible. Well, we can work with that. I'm gonna do another layer on top of this with more of a green color, but maybe not that much of a green color for this. Ooh, no. Ooh, no. Nope. Maybe I need to do less of a green color actually for the water. Basically, I'm envisioning everything that's like below that line gets cut. So you can ignore that. Yeah, Viva! When I first saw that commercial, actually, I was visiting North Carolina with my grandparents and the rest of my family. We were there with them. And I was in this little kitchen area and the commercial came on TV and I was like, I think I know this song. It sounds familiar. And then I realized that it was Coldplay because at that point, you know, that was before the album had come out. And before, I don't remember if Viva La Vida was released as a single by that point or if it was just after that or if that was like around the time. By the Hill was definitely out already, but I hadn't heard it enough to recognize it immediately. And so I was like, wait, I know that song. And then I was like, oh my God, wait, it's Coldplay. And then I rushed into the room and I was like, this is the best commercial ever. Like, I still think that commercial is incredible. It's a piece of art. I love it. And I didn't really understand why certain people were upset about them doing a commercial with Apple, because I think that was one thing that they were like, oh, Coldplay never do commercials. They never let their songs go on commercials. They've sold out, etc., etc. And even in one of the interviews from that era, Chris, like, well, the interviewer brought up the fact that they like never do commercials, and Chris was like, yeah, that's important, right? Tell that to our manager, Dave. But like, I don't really see a problem with that commercial specifically, because even though, yeah, technically it's an Apple commercial, technically it's an iTunes commercial, it's also them advertising their own album. So I see it more as like, buy this album, here's a platform you can buy it on, which, yeah, we're advertising that too, but it's not like, it's different from than if they just had the song in a different ad. You know what I mean? I don't know. Apple's marketing circa 2008 was spot on. Almost every song they used in a commercial was gold. I was introduced to Vice and other artists that way. Yeah, actually, my second favorite band is the Ting Tings, and that's how I found them, because they had used Shut Up and Let Me Go on one of the like the silhouette ads that you were talking about. I think it was one of those kinds of ads that they use that on. So that's how I heard that song, and then I was like, I like this band, I'm gonna listen to them. And I did, and now they're my second favorite band. And some other ones too. I think there's a song called Music Is My Hot Hot Sex that I heard from an Apple commercial. That's a good song too. I think when Paul McCartney came out with an album, they had like Dance Tonight. They did a commercial with that, which that one wasn't really, it was like kind of the Silhouette style, but a little different from the ones that they normally did, but it was still really cool. Same, you didn't realize it was Coldplay for like the first 2 times you saw the commercial? Yeah, I mean, I just like heard it in the other room and I was like, I think I know this, but I'm not sure. What is it? And then I went and checked and I was like, oh my god, I do know this. Okay, I'm gonna merge these 2 layers because I'm feeling good enough about where the C is at here. And then I need to do the thing, mask it. I think I'm just gonna use this brush to mask out so it's not like a solid line exactly. I don't really want it to be a solid thing. Make it a little rougher. A little rough around the edges, just like me. The Beats by Dr. Dre commercial in the Adventure of a Lifetime video really sucked, though. Yes, that was terrible. But they really didn't need to have that. On the other hand, I have a feeling that that video was probably sponsored because I can't imagine that doing the motion capture like that is cheap. So it's understandable. Like, what else was, you know, they had like doing the Ghost Stories live show, the DVD, you know, Chris was talking about how it cost them a lot of money to set that up and they like had sponsorship. Because a lot of stuff takes a lot of time and a lot of money. And so when you get to be a band their size, it's like, I think not really possible to function without becoming more commercial in some ways. Which I know some people really hate and really reject that. And some people might even think like, well, then in that case, why don't you just not be that popular? Like if the music really meant that much to you, then you wouldn't care about this or that or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, if you care about your fans, because I think that they do, and one of the things that they like doing is bringing a lot of people together. But that takes a lot of time and effort and money to do. And so they kind of have to. It's either that or don't play a lot of shows at all and struggle to make your living off of what you do, which is like not what people really want to do. So it's like I don't want to do that yet. It's a balance, I guess. You love that they did more commercial spots. I heard Coldplay used during the Olympics that year and even on the radio programs. Yeah, I mean, I think some things can be kind of iffy or like, I don't know. I don't like I've seen some commercials. I can't think of like a specific one, but I've definitely seen ones where it's like, did you really need to use this song? Could you not have used a different song instead? but that's like whatever. Chris actually said the motion capture was very expensive. Still, with their net worths, they could have paid for it out of their own pockets. That's true. That's a good point. I don't really know the business side of stuff like that, so it's hard for me to make any comments, but I do think you make a good point. These days, artists make more money from advertising or sponsorships than music sales. It's just reality. That's true for a lot of things, though. Like, honestly, whether you're in music, whether you are, so like, for example, things like newspapers make a lot of money off of advertising, like journalism stuff in general. TV has always made, like, TV in a lot of ways has always been a vehicle for advertising. Sometimes it's like more about the advertising than about the actual shows themselves. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's been that way for a lot of creative outlets for a while, for a lot of media outlets for a while, and music has more recently gone that way as well, especially with the streaming stuff, which kind of sucks. And I hate that people put so much into like the number of streams on things, because it's like, just because I'm not listening to it on Spotify doesn't mean I'm not listening to it. And so, you know, if I own someone's music and I have it on my phone and I'm listening to it off my phone because I'm not paying for Spotify Premium and I don't want to listen to the ads right now, then it's like it doesn't count, and that sucks. What should I do for these letters? An ugly ass yellow? I think I'm going to put a levels filter on this and adjust some of the colors after, because it's looking too bright and happy. When you consider that one song could be sold for like $3 but cost them tens of thousands to record in studio and engineer and produce and mix, not to mention buying and maintaining instruments. Yeah. I think a lot of people who aren't in these kinds of fields really underestimate the amount of work that goes into producing any kind of entertainment. The key is having a big enough audience. Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like some people want to complain about those who have a bigger audience doing certain things that makes them quote unquote sellouts. But the thing is, it's either you have that bigger audience and you do those things, or you die out and you can't work anymore, you know? But that also means small bands and artists continue to struggle because streams and other music sales in general yield very little. Yeah, definitely. And even like watching a lot of YouTube. So I've been on YouTube for about 14 years, like 14 and a half probably. This specific channel, 15 years. No, 14 years, sorry. And seeing how much YouTube has changed, because like back then people weren't making money off of it. And when they did make money off of it, it was like outside companies. Then they were able to introduce getting paid through ads, but those ads are a very small portion of income. And especially with YouTube changing things about the way ads work and the way that the algorithms work to get videos out to people, there are a lot of YouTubers nowadays who still don't really make their money through YouTube. Technically, it's like if they make money with the videos, it's through sponsorships, not necessarily ads. And then they'll also have like Patreon channels or some other type of subscription model where their supporters can support them directly rather than through like watching ads and stuff like that, because otherwise it's like not feasible for them to run the business that way. And a lot of these people have become businesses, or else they are just working kind of on the side of other things that they do, like full-time jobs. So it's really interesting to see. Same with books, by the way. Yeah, like I was saying, I think like it's any kind of media, because so much of it has relied on certain things, and because of the way that technology has changed, it's affected a lot of that. Which I would say it's some things are good and some things are bad, because I think it's become easier to make things now the way you like for anyone to make things now. Like, look at me drawing here on Photoshop. Like, I have access to Photoshop. It's not cheap per se. Not necessarily everyone is going to be able to access it, but it's more accessible to a larger number of people than it ever has been. And so that's good, but at the same time, right, like all these other things are happening that make it harder to actually monetize or whatever, you know, and actually make your living off of doing one thing. So imagine your novel comes out, costs around €15 to the buyer. Bookstore, Amazon would bag half of that amount. Publishing house bag another €6.50. Yeah, you're left with like a couple of dollars per thing. So that's why it's important to have that big audience. 80 cents for one book sold. Yeah, it's crazy. And so then what you could try to do to counteract that is self-publish, but that's not necessarily easy. and just because you can manage to be self-published doesn't mean that your book's gonna do well. So you might still end up making the same amount or less. And you also kind of at that point have to put more work into it and learn different roles, whereas when you're working with a team of people, it costs more to pay that team, but you get help. So it's a challenge. It's something that I've been thinking about more too, because like we were talking about, if what I want to do with my life is make short films, but I don't really I'm not necessarily interested in building up a business with employees, or like a studio with employees who are working for me and I'm in charge of things. I like want to make stuff myself. So it's like, how much can I do with that being one person? How far can I take that on my own before I need to reach out to other people? Or how much can I work with other people while still being more independent and being my own company? So that's why I keep the mindset of like, I might have to have other jobs all the time. We'll see. It's a very good possibility. But if I can get to do certain things, then I think I'm okay with that for my life. You don't want to self-publish because it might make more money in the short term. You want to build up a career, and for that, traditional way is still very much the way to go. Indeed, indeed. Let's see, Siren. What do I need to do from here? I mean, I feel like pretty much this is done. I might do a little bit of fade on the letters here to match. Oh, and I guess I have to write the word song on here somewhere too. I'm struggling for where to put this layer that says song, because normally I have a layer for the title, but technically the title's already in here. So I'm like, where am I gonna put this? Hard elliptical, let's do it. No, never mind, let's not do it. Oh wait, why did I... That was not where I wanted that layer to be. Let's take... What about this elliptical? Ooh, sampled brush? What does this one look like? You can't even tell what that says. I did it too big. Song. That's good enough for me. Now I'm just going to stretch it out. Like that fancy typing aesthetic of the now times where you put a space in between all the words. Remember when everyone used to write like this? I still do that sometimes. Put the little tilde. I can't remember how it ends, but you know what I'm talking about. People would be like, a song. That was a very Tumblr aesthetic. And like I said, I still use it. So, no shame from me. I tend to not do the things that other people are doing until after they've stopped doing them. Then I'm like, now's my time to shine. What if songs at the bottom of the seafloor with a clam and a treasure chest? It can be right where you put it. It's gonna be right where I put it, because while what you said is a good idea, I don't feel like doing it. I'm not in the mood for more work. I think, though, that I might just darken this up a little bit. That's good enough. Oh, word art. Good old times. Comic Sans. You know what was great is clip art. Sometimes I've seen on some stock websites that if you look for like illustrated images, some of them look like clip art. I'm like, how are you making money off of this? It's not good. You know what I think I need in the background a little bit more is clouds. BG, sky, clouds. Oh my god, I've been streaming for almost 3 hours. This took me way longer than I wanted it to. I don't mind sitting here talking to you guys. It's just that I had other things that I wanted to do tonight. But as per usual, my slow ass took too long. Then let's do some different colored clouds over here, or like a more of a gray in there, and then I don't know what I'm doing, really. I don't know how I feel about this. But I also... Well, that's okay. I think this is pretty good. So what I'm gonna do first... Should I... Yeah, okay. I'm gonna save this as a new file, do my cropped version. Also, I have to remember to put my signature in here. I did the futuristic video. I recorded that. So that's the video that'll be coming out on like Tuesday. And I recorded the whole thing, and then I saved it out, went to go post it, and realized that I didn't put the title nor my signature anywhere on the image. And I was like, oh, I forgot to do that. I'm just going to put it down here. It's going to be very sloppy today, because I don't feel like doing it any neater. Mermay 2023. It was great 3 days ago when I got to write 2020-20. Think you need to postpone the release again? Oh no. Is it because of the render time still? I have to admit that I'm a little confused about what the problems were, just because like it's hard to understand when you don't see the file and see how something's set up. So I couldn't really give too much input in the chat for what you could do. That's good enough. You know, if someone wants to crop out my signature, they can. Just kidding. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it right between the R and the E. I'm going to put it right on the E. What's it look like at 100%? It doesn't need to be that big. I'm going to scale it down a little bit, and we'll put it here. Oh my god. I have these, some bubble wrap stuff in my room, and the ceiling fan, I guess the air is pushing it, but it's just so scary because I heard this noise suddenly, and I'm like, is there a ghost in my room? What's happening? But no ghost. Everything's normal. Let's see. I'm falling behind on these comments. It was all the existential crisis combos that took you over time, Brooke. The new normal. Exactly. I had to go on my rants, you know. I had to give my opinion. It's one of the things I love doing most, is giving other people my opinion. So I couldn't avoid it. And when I talk like that, then it's hard for me to focus on what I'm doing. Okay, let's see. We need to just incorporate a little bit more contrast. Make this a little darker and a little spookier. You know what? I'm happy with it. I'm gonna trim it a little bit on the bottom because there's... Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Undo. I'm gonna trim it a little bit more on the bottom because there's... Some of the brush strokes are kind of ending too soon. so I want to make sure. Did I just screw that up? I want to make sure that I don't screw it up. Okay, that's good enough. So, okay. Is it that the videos don't lead well into each other, or that a better transition is needed? Can't get the transitions to work. Grouping certain songs together. You ever wanted to do just one video? Also want to heavily promote it once it's out. Are using title cards. You guys are having a great conversation. I won't interrupt. I'll just be over here saving out my file. Is there anything else that I want to do on this? I put kind of a vignette on the one yesterday that's like a little reddish. And I might do the same thing today. So I'm just going to make a selection, and then I'm going to feather it a bit. Let's do 100 pixels, sure. And then I'm going to pick like a nice purpley color. And I'm on the gradient tool, so I need to move back to the paint bucket tool. Well, I might want that darker, but I'm going to go through my blend modes here first and see. I like the multiply. Linear burn versus multiply. Linear burn comes out. I think I like the multiply more. And any of these ones are probably going to be... The overlay's not terrible. The overlay could work if I make it darker, probably. Ooh, I like the exclusion. Or difference. Difference is kind of cool. You guys can let me know what you think about this. Oh god, I moved the layer. I'm so sorry, layer. I didn't mean to move you. You don't know what that is, so you think no. Screen with the name of a song, fade to where if I can change. Very different style, you'll see. Well, hopefully. Yes. I agree with everything that's being said. Now, let me know. I know because I can see in my preview of the stream that it has not even gotten to this part yet. But when you get to this part, let me know what you think of this using the vignette in difference mode here. So it's kind of green up top and purple on the bottom versus something more like multiply where it's a more even shade of the purple, or overlay, which comes out a little more saturated. And I think that if I change the hue altogether, well, not the hue, really, if I darken it a little bit, it might look better. You like the linear burn? I like it, but it's a little too strong for me. So if I do the linear burn, I'd probably want to lower the opacity a little bit. And at that point, then it kind of looks like when I just do multiply. Or difference. Yeah, I might just go with multiply. Oh, I don't know. I'm so torn. You liked it best without any vignette? I think it just gives it some focus. I don't know. Maybe I can do more subtle. Maybe I can add Gaussian blur so it's even less noticeable. don't know. I think I might just stick with this. I feel like Ariel wouldn't be that high up in the sea. But it's too late to change it now. Okay, so I've got Ariel. I've got the title. I've got my signature. So I think I'm done. That's not bad as it is now. I don't know which version you mean because I've gone through a lot. And I don't know if you mean like without the vignette or with. I'm just keeping it at this. I've got it set to multiply. I added a Gaussian blur on top of the feathered selection to feather it out even more, basically, and lowered it to 50%. I'm pretty happy with this, so I'm sticking to it. So yeah, basically that's it for this drawing. I'm done. It's been 3 hours. It's better than it having taken 4 hours though, which is what some of the other ones have taken. So there's that. It helps when I'm less caring about the coloring aspect and not, like, I didn't do any shading on this. So my signature is under, well, it's not under the E, it's under the top part of the E. I can zoom in on it in a second, but I just have my saving window is open on the other screen, so I just have to save it first before I can do anything on this side. It's a big file. It's 3,000 by 2296 because I didn't I worked with the whole canvas basically. I did not shrink it down this time. That's the song Digital Love by Daft Punk, by the way, the one that I was talking about earlier. Okay, so the only thing left to do is to post it. I have to think of the caption. I don't know what to write for the caption. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know. If you guys have any ideas to do the work for me, let me know. It's almost a full 4K image. Yep, super high res. How about that? I think it's only at 70 DPI because when you're working only digitally, DPI doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. It's only when you're worried about printing images that it matters. So, if I wanted to print it out, it wouldn't be necessarily as high quality. I think it's at 70 DPI. It should be because, again, there's no reason for digital files to have a higher DPI if they're going to remain digital. So what is happening? I think that sometimes, sorry, I'm trying to like open up different windows in my browser, and sometimes my drawing tablet will stick a certain key, like the control key, and every time I was trying to type in the address bar, it was just not doing anything. Whew, my computer is really not loving to work right now. the whole anime movie that Daft Punk did for the Discovery album is amazing. I've seen it like once. We watched it in my intro to animation class one day when we were, we had like a work session, so my professor put it on because I think one of my classmates asked him to. It's pretty cool though. I like the song Crescendos, which I hadn't heard before we watched that. And then, I mean, some of the other songs I had heard already, but yeah, good times. Caption sea shanty. What kind of caption? Song of the Deep. Now my tail won't touch the ground. Temptation song, like Bob Marley's Redemption song. Isn't there something about some temptation related song? I'm trying to think of what that is. Well, there's the Temptations, I guess. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I think that's going to be it for this stream, guys. I'm getting too tired even for chatting. But, I mean, I guess that's fair because I've streamed a total of 5 hours today. So I'm at capacity. But it's been a blast doing this mermaid drawing with you. We're about a week away from the end of Mermay, so it's getting close to the end. But like I mentioned before, on Tuesday I have a video that will be coming out. At least I'm planning for Tuesday. Could be Monday, but it will probably be Tuesday that I release it. A video that is my process for doing the day 21 drawing, which was the futuristic one. So that'll be coming out on Tuesday. That's going to be like a roughly half-hour video. So you'll have that. And then probably next Sunday, the 31st, I'll stream my drawing then. Before then, who knows? I don't know. I don't remember what the other prompts are. If I feel inspired to live stream, I might do that. I might just like record another video. I do have a video for... I did record myself on day 8. I haven't put together the video for that, but that might be something that I do at some point as well. We'll see. So I might just at least record one of the other days before next week. But definitely this coming week I'll release a video for day 21. And we'll try to do the live stream of hopefully some animated mermaid content next Sunday for day 31. So I think I already said that for day 31. And in addition, then once Mermay is over, I would like to keep doing art-related live streams and pre-recorded videos. So again, if you have any requests for things you'd like to see me try to draw, you know, our friend M says she's planning on doing the Parachutes art challenge in July, so I would like to participate in that, but that'll be in July, and we have the entire month of June before then. So yeah, if you have requests, let me know, and I will try to fulfill them. So Lord, lead me not into temptation. That's a good one. Actually, I think I might use that. Thank you very much for your contribution. And thank you, both of you, for watching. Thank you, anyone else who's been watching. Thank you to anyone who watches this back in the future. Your viewership is much appreciated. Your support is greatly appreciated. And remember to subscribe to my channel. If you aren't subscribed already, you can like the video, you can leave more comments, you can share it with people, you can do whatever you want. If one of the things that you want to do is check out my other mermaid drawings, you can go to @inawoodenhouse on Instagram, and that's going to be the best place to see all of these because I haven't been posting anything else. So they're all right there for you, all in technically reverse chronological order. So just scroll down and then work your way back up. But yeah, that's @inawoodenhouse. Again, I haven't been posting anything else but Mermay, and I won't post anything other than Mermay until after it's over, so you'll be able to see the entire progression without interruption. So that's it. Thank you for joining me. And your request would be to see me animating stuff. Great. We can definitely get that done. If you have any specific thing you'd like to see me animating, you can also let me know that too. But yeah, I would love to do more animation streams. Video game related. Perfect. We can probably combine those things too. I'll have to try to send you guys something that I worked on in a class where I had to do basically a game opening screen / menu screen for a motion graphics class, and the video I did is awesome. But anyway, that's it for tonight's stream. Thank you all for joining me, and I will see you next Sunday for sure for a live stream. Yeah, that's it. Peace out.